So today I thought we would create some spooky tags to go into our spooky journal. So these will populate the pockets, tuck spots and inserts for the spooky journal. So I've already created one, just using a few bits and pieces, some washi tapes, a stamp and a couple of other little bits and pieces to go along. But let's try and use up some of the Tim Holtz Halloween ephemera along the way. So for the base of your tag, you can either use up any pre-bought black tags that you've already got in your stash. I've got quite a few of these black ones. I've also got some craft card ones. You can tell how thick it is. These are from Michael's Recollections. These were sent to me in Happy Mail quite some time ago. But if you haven't got either of those, then just using up some of your black cardstock. So this is the same cardstock that I've used in my signatures. So this was from a 12x12 sheet which I've cut down to make the signatures for my journal. So rather than throw the waste away, they are the perfect size to make tags. So either way, you can either use a pre-bought or you can use black cardstock or any kind of craft card that you want to use for your tag, if that's the aesthetic you're going for. So I think for today, I'm just going to use up one of the pre-bought ones. So I've already printed out my main focal image for the tag, but what I want to do is just add in somewhere to maybe just add a little bit of journaling onto the back. So I'm going to create a small panel. So just grabbing a pencil, and I've got one there somewhere. Just going to line up a piece of craft cardstock. Just move it a bit further up actually. About so. There. And about there. I'm just going to do it by eye. I'm not going to be exact. So, oh, but I do need a straight edge. And would you believe it? They're all, oh, there's one there, look. Aha. Hiding amongst the detritus. That is my desk. So, straight down there. And then I'm just using the lines on the ruler just to get a kind of by eye, almost straight edge to it. Just nick that off. There we go. Okay, so we've got a nice little panel that we can utilise on the back, but of course it's a Halloween journal, so we have to distress it. Distress, 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 distress. Okay, so that will give us our little journaling spot. You can either draw lines on or leave it au naturel. It is entirely up to you. But before I stick that down, I want to add a tab. So I've got a big tab punch. So this will do a tab shape. And I've got my big pile of Tim Holtzy papers that I can utilise to create a tag. I'm liking the colour of that one. I'm liking the colour of that. So let's do half and half. About there. That will do nicely, thank you very much. Okay, you should see my floor in my craft room at the moment. Oh, I kind of like the back one as well. I should have checked the back of the paper first, shouldn't I? Okay, so now we've got it folded, let's just get rid of those white raw edges because we don't want those. Certainly not. Okay, so because this is a junkie journal that we're going to populate with all manner of spooky stuff, you can, if you want, glue your tab, or you can staple your tab if you want to. I'm going to glue. Okay. I should have got the fine point applicator before starting on this enterprise with you, but it is what it is. But you see, with it being a Halloween journal, it really don't matter too much about tidy, does it? No, it don't. Okay. So now that's stuck down there, I can now stick that down onto my background. Or shall I just add, maybe down one side, before we do that, a little bit of washi tape. Just because you'll just see the edge. And that's kind of a nice thing, just poking through, just peeping underneath. Just gives it that little bit of an extra layer. So let's also do, and of course we are trying to use up our Tim Holtz Halloween stash, because next year when it comes around to Halloween and we've used up all our stash, we've got the perfect excuse, and without feeling guilt in any way, shape or form, about buying new and succumbing, because, you know, we'll have used up all our Halloween stash, so you'll need to buy more. Makes perfect sense to me. Okay, so now we've got that down. Let's have a little journaling spot. We can also add maybe a little bit of washi just to break up that top. Nice bit of brick wall there. And maybe just a run of numbers. There we go. Just adds a little bit of extra layering to your project. Okay, flip that over. Talking of brick walls, let's add some of that down the side. So we'll add that just like we did peeking through on the other side. Let's add some of that on this side. So we've got that running down there, and I think I'm going to have just some of those numbers just running along the edge down towards the bottom, because I like that. Right, so because we're doing spooky journals, I've gone ahead and pre-cut out or pre-printed a main focal image for my tag, because I want my tags to all kind of have a skull theme to them. I'm trying to find the one that I've already done as my little template. That's hidden. There we go. So you can see, I kind of use this as a template to see what worked and what didn't work. So what I want to do is I just want to quickly, just with my scalpel. So I'm just going to whip around the skull. Of course, you can batch make these, depending on how many you want for your actual journal. I only really want 2 or 3, because I've only got 3 main kind of signatures in the spooky journal. And I think because these are kind of large, I think 3 is enough, because you want to populate your journal. You don't want to overfill it with tags. We want other stuff to go in there. We want pockets, and we want journaling cards, places in which to play with our other spooky stuff. Of course, there are stamps that you can purchase. This particular image was actually turned into a stamp a couple of years ago for Indigo Blue. I designed it for Indigo Blue, and I love this one because I like that kind of old-fashioned magazine-y half-tone dot effect. You can't really see it when it's at a distance, but when it's close up, you can see it's made up of dots. So that was how I designed the stencil originally. The stamp originally. But because I've still got the original artwork, I can print it out as much as I like. I do have the stamp, which I did use, I think maybe a year or so ago, to create some Halloween cards as part of my 7 days of Halloween for that year. But don't ask me what year it was, because I couldn't tell you. I've been doing 7 days of Halloween for quite a few years now. Most of the playlists for my 7 days of Halloween are listed on my YouTube channel. And you would remember to finish that sentence. There we go. So we're getting there. We're getting there. It's already got some hole reinforcers in there, so that's fine. Cool. So what I want to do is just leave that for a minute or two, just for the glue to set. And then what I'll also do is I'll catch up and I'll do a second one, which will give me 3 in total. But I think this one, I'll have the skull going the other way. So I'll be right back once that's done, and I'll be at the same stage with this one as I am at that one. And we'll do 2 at once then. So I've got both of my tags to the same state now. So I just need to embellish it a little bit. So what I've done is I've gone through my Tim Holtz Halloween ephemera collection, pulled out just half a dozen or so bits just to stick on, just to give it a little bit of extra je ne sais doodah. So I'll just quickly whip round the thing that I think most people find attractive about the Tim Holtz stuff is that because he uses a similar kind of palette and style of imagery within all the ephemera, with it all being vintage, you know, some of the colours have been altered and changed by the people at Advantus, the designers and stuff, to make it all kind of a coherent fit, so that it all coordinates and complements each other. So it takes, to some degree, it takes out the headache, the hard work of finding bits yourself that kind of all coordinates. Unless you kind of like buy a set from somebody like Graphic 45 or whatever. And again, all their sets all sit within a certain colour parameter. You know, all their 12 by 12 papers, coordinating papers, chipboards and all that kind of stuff. It's all done with the same colour palette for every set. So everything coordinates and everything matches. And it really does take the headache sometimes out of finding pieces and hunting for pieces that are going to fit with your aesthetic, with what you want to achieve. So that's the appeal, I think. And I also think that's why people tend to go for vintage more than modern, because vintage tends to be of a, you know, of a definite aesthetic, and a familiar one too. So that's just my opinion for what it's worth. Probably not a lot. Okay, so literally it's just a question now of sticking everything down. Making sure everything goes where you want it to. Get off. My glue's alive today. Loving it already. Because I've used black pages in my journal, and obviously using the black base for the tags was a deliberate choice. I should, I think. I think maybe I should have come down that way with those. Can I still? Yes, I can. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. Beauty of that glue. If you don't like something, just take it off before it sets, and then like a magic lantern, just give it a rub and it disappears. Okay, so the last piece for this. Like toast landing butter side down. Always sod's law, we call it. Murphy's law, Americans call it. Okay, time for the ribbon. Right, so I've got some torn sari silk and some black ribbon, which I'm going to twist. And then we're going to pop that through the holes that hold, create our loop. Come on with your big fat sausage fingers. There we go. I'll leave that one behind. And then because we've got hole reinforcers, we can afford just to take each of the strands and just pull them tight. Love it. And do the same with this one. It doesn't really matter whether you go front to back, back to front really. As a wise lady once said to me, whatever blows your hair back. Which I'd never heard of before. We always say whatever floats your boat. There we go. Now, what you can do, if you want to, is let me just move those 3 tags out of the way. I've got some Distress ink, carved pumpkin. So if you want to just add a little bit of Halloweeny orange to the sari silk, just because you could pretty much do that before you put the sari silk in, or like I've done, give it a wipe once it's already on. And I think we're just about done. So we've got 3 spooky tags to go in our spooky journal. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.